Jack is, well, he's going to be 5 years old this month.
So before I start, I just want to give a shout out and a huge thank you to Belynda Gray for sharing some of her memories of Jack with me. I know it wasn't an easy thing to do, but I'm so grateful that you did give me your time and share a little bit more with us about Jack, or Jackie Boy, as he was called in your household. So for this video, I wanted to focus on Jack, since 29th of October is his birthday. I have sourced all my audio, and there's a few video bits too, directly from Belynda Gray. So, as I said, there is some new audio that you won't have heard. There is also audio from the various interviews she's done and from discussions on YouTube. I'm choosing not to use audio from any other people who have spoken about Jack. And in terms of things that have been said by Jack by other people, I have discarded a lot of things that have been said by certain other people, and I'm just going to rephrase things in my own words in terms of things that I think we know are fairly factual. I've done my best to pull together as much as I can about Jack from all the times that Belynda's spoken about him, from various articles that have been released over the past 5 months, and from putting my own interpretation on what other people have said in relation to Jack, in terms of reframing it to how it should be said. So with that said, let's just jump straight in.
First off, I'd like to apologize. I have a bad head cold right now. I was looking at Jack's pictures this morning. We were at the hospital when Jack was born. He was it was amazing because he didn't cry. He was a quiet infant, and he had this red tinge to his hair. We really thought he was going to grow up to be red hair. That's why his grandfather started calling him Jackie Boy, because right away it kind of looked like he was going to show his Irish heritage. So Jackie Boy kind of stuck. That's what we always called him. He was such a content baby. Lily was so good with him. She'd always go over when he was laying in his day bed, and she'd show him things, and he'd just look at her with his big eyes. It's really hard to put it all into words. Jack was such a sober, serious little baby that he didn't like to smile. You could tickle him, and he would look at you ever so serious, like he was really studying you. He was a very sober baby that you really had to work to get him to smile. And I just put it down to his temperament, that he was studying you. But Malaya's very soft-spoken anyway, that she's not usually excitable. I thought that's made her a really great mom. She was an excellent mom. She never raised her voice at the kids. That it was always, "Now Lily, what did Mommy say?" And I used to think, now if anybody's meant to be a mom, it was her. A part of me still feels that. I thought her gift was being a mom. That I really thought that was her God-given gift, that she seemed to just breeze through it. She was actually everything a grandmother could want for a mom.
Really?
Okay. She was an excellent mom. An excellent mom. She didn't raise her voice. She had more patience than I had as a mom.
Wow.
The last time they were here, they were still basically babies. And Jack was more sober. He was just crawling around the floor, learning to walk. Crawling around the floor. Lily was always bouncing around and playing with toys. She was always so happy. And he would just quietly sit on the floor and just play with whatever toy he had in his hand. He didn't seem to have a favorite, at least not at that young of an age. He did like the rocking horse. He'd get up on that quite a bit. They both loved my cats and would try to chase them. And while the cats knew enough now that when they come to visit, the cats would take off. Well, the last time that they were here, Jack was just crawling around good and getting into everything.
Yeah.
He'd find toys, and he was a very quiet little boy. He'd just play with himself.
And so how long were your son and Malia together?
3.5 years, I think it was, yeah. I thought they were the picture-perfect family. We haven't seen the kids in almost 2 years now.
I'm sorry.
That we had a pretty good relationship up until that point. It broke my heart when her and Cody didn't work. They were my picture-perfect family. It broke my heart. And Malaya made me feel it was okay. She'd come every couple of weeks with the kids. And then it slowly dwindled after she met Daniel. We would go visit them quite often when they lived in Truro. And to see him progress and slowly get bigger and do things on his own. Lily was a tiny bit jealous. So we always made sure, I looked at her as my little princess, so it wasn't hard to always have her in my arms.
Yeah.
And we kept in communication that the kids' birthdays and Christmas, that she was staying with her grandmother at that time in Truro.
Yeah.
So we would go there to drop off the kids' birthday gifts or Christmas gifts and visit with them. Then we noticed that it started to change a bit.
And what kind of change did you notice in her?
She started to get distance. That the last visit she had them here, that was in the summer before Jack's birthday, so that probably would have been around July or August. She did make the comment that it bothered Daniel coming to visit us. That he assumed that she was coming so she could run into Cody.
Do you think that the reason why you haven't seen them in the last 2 years is because of that?
I do feel it's because of him. I do. I mean, she was coming all the time up until she got with him. A lot of times we thought he always seemed to look so sad and scared in his pictures. And we wondered what was going on in their lives. But Malaya, anytime she talked, she stated that they were doing great. But then after the separation and she was living at her grandmother's, I noticed that he never smiled a whole lot. And just about all the pictures she posted out, Jack would very rarely smile. The only time I noticed Jack smiling was when he started school. And then it seemed like every picture she posted, he was smiling. I put it down to, I know of a family whose children loved school, and it was because they weren't happy at home. They couldn't wait to go to school. And that's what it made me think of him, that school was a safe space where he could be him. I could tell when he started school that he would smile a lot. So I assumed school was a really happy place for him. I think that was his safe space where he could be him.
How did you find out that Lily and Jack were missing?
The mama of my grandson called me. We were in town. She asked if I heard the news. She sent me the article that was on Facebook showing the kids missing. I couldn't call Malaya yet, so I waited till we got home. And I called, well, I didn't call her, I texted her. And she told me that, yes, that the kids were missing, that they've been missing since this morning. I was in a state of panic, shock. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, they'll find them. I mean, I'm assuming that they'd find them.
How did you hear that they had gone missing?
We were in Halifax when we got the news. The mother of another grandchild I have, I guess she's seen it on social media. So right away she sent a message. It was quite a shocker. I don't think you can make anybody understand. But those woods, I started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods. There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes. It is really, really thick.
Why are you so sure they're not in the woods?
I have children. I have grandchildren. And I see what kids are like through the woods. There's no reason for any child to wander deep into the woods. There's just not. I think somebody hurt these kids. I think somebody hurt them. Our last day searching on Monday and seeing the woods and seeing the searchers and everybody everywhere. There's no way those kids are in the woods. When I found out Malaya left, I knew there was no sense searching anymore. It started making me think, I don't think these babies wandered off. Then when we come back to the trailer and the cousin met me out in the yard, Daniel's cousin.
Okay.
She met me in the driveway and I asked where Malaya was. Mm-hmm. And she told me Malaya wasn't there. And that hit me like a ton of bricks.
What was it about that?
If she could leave, then to me she knew her kids weren't coming back. Because I know I couldn't leave. To be honest, the day Malaya left is when it hit me that I did not feel these kids were ever going to come back.
So one of the things Jack was known for was for removing his boots. I can't blame him. Sometimes if you have sensory issues, then wearing lots of heavy stuff on your feet is probably not a lot of fun. I'm going to quote an article from the Globe and Mail. This is from the bus driver article. So this comes from an interview with bus driver Brian Ward, who did the school run for Jack and Lily. And this is from the Globe and Mail. Jack sometimes fell asleep on the way home from school, but more often than not, he was chatty. He'd say, "Bus driver," Mr. Ward recalled. If he was trying to talk to you and he couldn't get your attention, the little bugger would take his boot off, throw it at you. "Jack is famous for throwing his boots at me," he said. There's a bit of audio that I'm missing, and that is where Belynda Gray was talking about how it reminded her of Jack's grandfather.
Right. And to hear the bus driver actually stated that he had a reminder a couple of times. We don't do that on the bus.
We've been told that Jack was a budding entomologist with his love for bugs. Of course, he also apparently loved worms and dinosaurs. As you can see on the screen here, there was a picture done by Jack, a painting done by Jack, hanging in the house, which had his name and a picture of a bug.
I love to see his interest as he got older, that he took an interest in nature, looking for bugs, not wanting to hurt them. It really breaks my heart to think I never had a chance to see that side of him. That I know that gene passes on from me because I love nature and I don't believe in killing anything. It would have been nice to see that in him.
Jack also saw the world around him with a sense of fascination and wonderment. In a recent interview with CTV News, Belynda Gray said that Jack had something of a fascination for the decorative bottles that she had in her home when he was little. Jack also loved to investigate the world around him, so much so that going for walks in the woods held very little appeal, as he would much rather stay and look for bugs, look for worms, or investigate fascinating tree branches. Of course, from what we've heard, Jack was also quite capable of extreme empathy and compassion. This is reflected in his need to let the chickens out of their itty-bitty yard so they've got room to roam, or his need to rescue worms that had been collected to be fed to the chickens in order to make sure that those worms survived to live another day.
And Jack he was serious, I believe, from the day he was born. He studied everything. He looked around and always studied everything. It was so hard to get him to smile that you really had to work at making him smile. And when he did smile, it almost seemed like it hurt him to do so. That we thought that he was going to be a very serious young man when he grew up. I know I've heard many say about his stubborn streak. It's nice to know that even at that young age, he knew what he didn't like. And maybe he just needed some extra care and time to show him that everything was going to be okay. I see a lot of pictures where he doesn't look happy. I believe as he was getting older, he might have had sensory issues. I noticed he didn't like the icing on his hands at his birthday party. Now, Jack didn't overly talk a whole lot. Mm-hmm. He was a very quiet little boy.
Okay.
He was a very quiet, shy little boy, very reserved, at least up until that age, very reserved. But he quietly played with the toys, and he liked the stuffed animals. He played with them, and he loved the toy horse I had there for them.
The longer this goes on, Belynda, how worried are you we may not get answers?
That leaves me sick to my stomach. I don't believe my grandchildren are alive. I have resigned myself to that one. But to not get answers, it's like, no. There's answers out there. 2 kids just don't disappear. And I'm so afraid that people will stop talking about it and they'll forget them. It's hard to believe he's turning 5. 2 years went by that we never seen them, and so much changes in a little one's life in 2 years. You get to see their personalities develop, their likes, their favorite things, and we missed out on that in those 2 years. And now I worry that there's no catching up on that. Yeah, I'm sorry, but this is really kind of hard. There is nothing more pure and innocent than a 6 and a 4-year-old. And they deserve so much better than what they got. Your grandchildren are what you leave this world.
They're a part of you.